Hey, it's Glenna from Cultural Mishmash on The Rock, KEBF in Morro Bay, and KZSR in Paso Robles, and streaming on centralcoastradio.org. Today I'm talking with Michelle Barrera, creator of a thing called At Her Table, a nonprofit organization that supports women in the food and beverage industry. At Her Table is putting on a series of events during Women's Week in March, the 6th to the 12th, and I asked Michelle to talk to us about At Her Table and all that it means. March is International Women's Month, and women make up about half of our population and contribute directly to our economy. And this organization is dedicated to highlighting and celebrating them, as well as calling attention to how important they, or we, are. So, Michelle, can you tell our listeners more about you and your fantastic organization?
Well, thank you so much for that intro, Glenna. Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Barrera, and I'm the founder of At Her Table. We are a 7-day food festival that celebrates women throughout the Central Coast. It happens on March 6th through 12th in honor of International Women's Day and Women's History Month, and we have over 40 events and food specials.
So, where did the idea from At Her Table come from?
So that's actually a interesting story. It was during the pandemic and I had dreams of creating a luxury to go box here on the Central Coast. I had only seen this done in big cities, so I reached out to restaurants in Los Angeles and San Francisco and was asking for support. Nobody answered me back or wanted to help me except one woman. Her name was Dina Sampson, and she's the owner of Rosso Blue in downtown LA. And she gave me her menu, all the links to where I could buy the supplies. And I was just so blown away by this woman who was so generous and just sharing all this information with me. So I reached out to her, and I believe in making 5 to 15 minute magical phone calls. So I was like, hey, I want to jump on the phone with you. I know you don't know who I am, but I want to get to know you. Obviously, you're amazing. So we jumped on the phone, and she mentioned she was part of an organization called Regarding Her. And she saw some similarities in what I was doing here on the Central Coast and what she was doing. So she suggested, hey, you should check out our website, and this is something that I think would do really well in your county. And what was very interesting to me, she asked me, how many women-owned businesses do you have there? And I literally did not know. And it bothered me. I thought maybe, honestly, I was like, maybe we have 10 women-owned businesses in the restaurant industry. And then I took that deep dive to look and research, and I realized there were hundreds. And I thought to myself, how many people are thinking like me, and what can I do to change this? So that's how At Her Table came about.
So, you went from the idea of having a luxury box to a nonprofit organization that actually provides services. Can you tell us
Pretty much.
something about that little leap there, that little tiny little hop that you made?
Yeah, it was crazy. I saw March was coming up, and I do an event calendar called Enjoy Slow, and I was like, "Oh, Women's History Month is coming up. This is something that we should do." And I decided, okay, let me reach out to some restaurants, see who would be open to it, and 36 restaurants jumped on board with me. I created a website in 1 week. The second week we did promotion, and the third week we threw the event. It was madness, and people were asking, what is this? How did this happen? I didn't know about it. But that's when the momentum of At Her Table started.
Oh, I see. I'm beginning to make the connection. So your contact with Dina and regarding her kind of lit a light bulb for you. So instead of creating a bougie luxury product, you pivoted and created a community of women business owners. And now, although it's a big party and celebration, underneath that is this nonprofit organization that actually provides services to women who might really, really need them to stay afloat. Do I have that right? And can you tell us more about that part?
Yeah, we do, Glenna. We have a restaurant emergency fund we've been building up for women who have businesses who have an emergency medical situation or their restaurant is put in jeopardy of closure. We saw this a lot during the pandemic, and this is something we wanted to create and to be able to support in. We promote Every Woman Counts. They provide free breast and cervical cancer screenings and diagnostic services to all of California's underserved populations. We provide bilingual marketing materials in both English and Spanish. Just to set an example of how important inclusivity and diversity is, we offer a free directory listing on athertable.com so you could see the women-owned and co-owned businesses in the food and beverage and lodging industry. We have mixers every quarter, and we provide free social media classes to all our members. And our most popular initiative is we host a countywide annual Women's Week to empower women and promote their businesses and share their stories.
That's a lot, Michelle. That's amazing. So where does the money come from for all this? Who pays for this?
So we're generously funded through donations and sponsorships. It is free to become a member of At Her Table if you're within the food, beverage, and lodging industry. We charge a very nominal fee to participate in the 7-day festival, but they keep 100% of the proceeds that they earn during their events and food specials.
So you're creating a community of women within the Central Coast to support each other in addition to the services that you actually offer. So since the basis for being a member is being women-owned, how do you draw the line? Because most women have some kind of man working in their establishment, or maybe their partner.
Yeah, that's a great question. We're open to all women-owned and co-owned businesses. This is just a week of celebration and acknowledgement. We love all the men that have been helping. We have many volunteers like Adam Montiel from Where Wine Takes You and Mike Adams from Paso Robles Wine Fanatics. It's Women's History Month. It's just a great week to celebrate together. So we welcome businesses who are co-owned and there is a man there. We draw the line because we want the money and the acknowledgement to go to these women during such an important celebratory month.
My understanding was that your thinking when you started this venture, maybe venture isn't the right word, but your thinking was that women have always throughout history provided food for everyone and taken care of people. And that seems pretty important to me. It seems like an important part of your mission. Can you add on to that and say why it's important to you in particular?
To me, food is the cultural uniter of all people. Food, beverage, and events have always been close to my heart, and I think it's impactful because it creates community. So for me, what is so important is the storytelling of these women. When I first started At Her Table, I did ask the question that was asked me. I said, could you name women-owned businesses in the area? And people struggled. They didn't know. And there were some restaurants that I knew, and when I would mention them, people would tell me, oh, I didn't even know there was a woman there. And it was just this resonating message. I talk to women in the restaurant industry. They shy away from being in the spotlight, or sometimes they're just not acknowledged for what they're doing. So why Women's Week is so important is because it gives these women a chance to come forward and to share their stories that people may not know about them.
That's great. We all need credit for the work that we've done, and it's true that women historically haven't received the credit. So it's really wonderful that you are putting all of this energy of yours into this. Do you need volunteers? And if so, how do they get in touch with you?
We always need volunteers, especially in the winter before we prepare for this huge event. If there's anyone interested in volunteering, you can go to athertable.com, and on the menu it's under support.
And do you do other activities throughout the year besides this one big, huge week that has how many people participating in it?
Wow, we have over 40 events and food specials, and it serves over 1,000 women because I also survey to find out how many women are at that business.
Oh, okay. So you're including people employed, women employed by these businesses as well.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, so what about other activities throughout the year? Are there other things going on? I mean, I think that because you focus so much on this one week, a lot of people get together who didn't even know about each other, and they form new alliances and relationships. So, of course, that goes on throughout the year. But are there any other things that you specifically work on during the year besides during March 6th to 12th, the Women's Week?
Yeah, connection is really essential for At Her Table. We host a quarterly mixer, and that allows the women to get together, to know each other, and then they end up collaborating once we start preparing for At Her Table.
And do you plan to grow at her table? What's the future?
Oh my gosh, the future is big and bright. We've received many requests during our events. Please bring it to Florida, bring this to San
Wow.
Francisco, bring it to whatever state this person is from. It's really an honor to hear comments like this. But at this time, we are getting our footing here in San Luis Obispo County, and our next location that we will be expanding to is Santa Ynez Valley.
Yeah, thank you for emphasizing that because as you were speaking, I was going to say, is it even possible? Because if you grow too quickly, it can get out of control and you can lose sight of your mission. So you're growing geographically, or at least you probably will. And your base of people who participate as women in business is clearly growing. I've known about your organization for 3 years now, and it seems like each year it doubles or triples in size. But what about the people who come to these events? What do they get out of it besides the one event that they come to?
It's honestly one of the best events for them to go to because this is their chance to meet business owners at such an intimate level. They get to make new friends. They're celebrating women in their life or themselves. For a lot of these women who do participate, they don't take that time to celebrate themselves. They put their businesses first, they put their children first, they put everyone else first except them. So this is just a week for them to sometimes escape and to choose them and prioritize themselves.
So, in a way, it's a little bit of an opportunity for people to meet the celebrities. Even though every woman in business is a celebrity, she's usually hidden and would never, ever call herself a celebrity. But in real life, when you run a business and you have a face to the public, even if it's not your own, people know you. So, this is a chance to actually be with those people in person and talk to them and hug them or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally want to speak into that. It's a chance for women to not only come forward, but to be an example to someone. So we do have business owners who are a little bit on the shyer side, and they're doing at her table for the first time. And I always tell them, like, when you're coming forward in this way, there's someone who's looking at you and they're thinking, that person is like me. And it inspires other women to come forward into the light.
So you're suggesting that At Her Table is almost like a secret mentorship program.
No, not necessarily. I believe in living by example, and for women to come forward in this way, I think it's saying something and it's a powerful message that creates impact throughout the Central Coast.
Okay, so where can people find more information about these events and becoming a member?
If you're looking for more information on the events and how to join, you can find it at hertable.com, or you can send us a direct message through Instagram at hertable, SLO.
Okay, Michelle, it seems like we've pretty much wrapped it up, unless there's other things you want to say. But I do want to ask you for one more thing, which is other people that you might like to acknowledge who are part of At Her Table.
Oh my gosh, at her table only happens because of all the amazing support we get. Travel Paso, we were able to get their community grant. There are so many women who come forward and volunteer, like Kristen Casillas of Orale, Taqueria, and Paso Robles, Emily Goldstein, Bramble Pie, Gina Hambley, Hambley Farms, Cameron Jung, she's a local DJ, but she is coordinating all our volunteers, and Jill Alexander from Paso Market Walk and Lisa Peach from Kindred Oak. They have stepped up to support all our local vacation rentals who are becoming a part of this. We are just so lucky, and we have a lot of great mentorship, and people probably don't know about it, but thanks to Gail Cayetano from Edible Slow Magazine. She's been a supporter from day one. Walt Shepard from Inside Weddings, he's served as my financial mentor, so big high five to him. And Tara Shepard, she just left from the position, but she was over at Foundation of Hearst Castle, so we're very lucky. Oh, and I don't want to forget Visit Atascadero for sponsoring this year's At Her Table Street Festival.
And when and where is that happening?
Sunday, March 12th at 10 to 4 p.m.
Okay, so once again, I've been talking with Michelle Barrera of At Her Table, which is a nonprofit organization supporting women in the food and beverage and associated industries on the Central Coast of California. And we're doing this now because Women's Week is coming up, March 6th to 12th, when there will be dozens of events happening that you might like to attend. So to learn more, you can go to
www.athertable.com.
Okay, Michelle, thanks so much for spending time with me today.
It was such a pleasure, Glenna.
And such a pleasure to share about this unique event series and fellow nonprofit At Her Table here on the Rock Community Radio 97.3 and 107.9.